Spawn said it best upstairs that Rise and Callisto are just pretty much staple bans of purple side at this point.
Oh yeah, very strong. Callisto especially is a
or from blue
staple
side
of the LPL. But I mean, look, Rise is very strong. Take it away there. I mean, maybe Aluka doesn't feel comfortable enough first picking it, but King have a lot to consider for this last ban here because all of a sudden, champion pool's quite open. Is it going to be the Echo? Is it something like even the Nautilus that Aluka's been playing? But then you open up stuff like Sion. Like, there's a lot to consider here for this last ban.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right that they banned Rise from blue side just because Aluka isn't comfortable with that champion pool yet. Gragas going to be the last ban for King, and we've seen that again as a flex between Hui and Insec. He played that in the top lane. So kind of curious what direction W are going to go. They have a lot of priority picks.
I almost forgot about that Insec Gragas game, but you're right.
You try to forget.
I did try. Insec's a very special top laner.
His champion pool is just so weird. I was like trying to collect his win rates and... No, he's not going to play Rengar on the top. Well, I mean, it could play Rengar on the top, but...
Yeah, definitely the overlap there was a bit tricky. But Waterley, considering their first pick here, they've got a Lucas Sion open, but they're going to stick maybe to something a bit safer here. The thing about the Sion is a lot of people ban it, but not a lot of other teams play it. I think Sky's the only other one to play it, so Rek'Sai is the perfect first pick for Waterley.
I completely agree with this first pick. I think this is huge, not only to get Spirit on his big comfort champion, but to take it away from Quay. And we talked about kind of where he's finding his stride. You saw it when it pulled up his, what is it called? Yep. Player profile. It was like Gragas, Rek'Sai. So.
Yeah, definitely get that out. Again, with Gragas banned means that Spirit can take away the other high-pressure jungler that's popular. But King answer nicely here. Siv is going to go back for Nami. That's like the 5th pick in 6 games or something like that. And Korn's actually going to take Victor here.
I really like this second rotation from King as well. Sivir, I like the fact that Name is letting Korn carry, that he's stepping back and, like you said, not playing those hyper carries like Jinx. I mean, he'll still pull it out, but I find he's having a lot more success picking up Sivir and giving utility back to his team and helping them make those macro rotations with her ultimate and allowing Korn to just, you know, get more gold resource and show that he can play in this meta. Yeah,
and I think King, you know, maybe a third of the way through the season, a bit over that, but not quite half just yet here. And it feels like the teams are still finding their feet. I think OMG is a good example of a team that's still figuring themselves out. Both Waterloo and King obviously sitting towards the bottom of the table, can climb a long way when moving towards playoffs, but I do like that Name's mixing it up. We'll see what happens as King, as a team, as they sort of play more together. We've already had the Kassadin locked in there for Xie. They are going to consider this Nautilus pick to flex both the support and the top lane here, and this is a great start for Waterloo, but the Kassadin's really curious to me.
Just a Xie champion. Oh, is that an insta-lock?
Yeah, by the looks of things, and there's a Skarner in our game, and a Jax.
Korn's face is like, hello?
Are these our real picks? What is going on?
That was instantaneous. Let's talk about Nautilus, though, real quick before we kind of touch on Jax and Skarner, especially picking that blind.
Yeah.
Like you said, perfect flex pick because it can go down to Conan as well as in the hands of Aluka, and it just makes sense since Alistar was banned off that Nautilus is kind of the second-tier power pick for the support position.
Yeah, I mean, Nautilus has just been great so far. We've seen a lot of teams play it as we do. Pop out of the lobby, maybe.
I thought that
maybe
might have
Korn
been.
and Nami are having problems with their champions. That was great. I was ready. I was ready for the Huey Skarner.
I didn't want to start going in on Skarner and like breaking down Jax's number. I was like, this is a little bit suspect.
Is it telling that we would not have been surprised if those were the actual picks?
I think it's telling of Insec. Insec I was totally sold on. I was ready. I was like, yeah, he's going to play Jax top. I'm not surprised at all. Skarner, though, I was like, maybe not.
Skarner. Very sad times. Poor Skarner.
I was about to go into like the Sivir Skarner synergy of like speeding him up, getting him in there.
See, it's actually at my game. They random the Skarner. They're like, oh, we have to remake the lobby. And they're like, you know what? I think maybe
we should just do it, guys.
They're going to pick Jinx. It's fine. Let's take her out. As we have other players jump back into the lobby, but we'll get back in there as soon as we see some more picks come through. Don't think, unfortunately, that we'll be seeing the Skarner. That's very sad. The Skarner Jax. But curious to see what King do and do with their draft, because like you said, lots of stuff opened up with the Sivir Victor as your first picks.
Yeah, and the beauty of Sivir Victor is that there's just so much threat, especially when the map starts getting over. Victor can just delete someone over a wall, so he technically has a lot of, I'm going to call it pick potential. Yep. As well as just massive AoE burst, and of course that works really well with Sivir when she's shooting her ricochet across every single member on the enemy team. So there we go. That looks a little bit normal.
Does indeed. Echo, they're going to be picked up. Morgana actually coming through as well.
The counter pick to Nautilus.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
I like that a lot. I mean, still don't have a top laner possibly for Aluka. Could, of course, be top lane Nautilus, but they've got a chance now to see what they want to do. Water lead, reflecting on the rest of their draft. Flashing Annie might mean that it is Nautilus in the top side, but we've also got Sion open as well. Sion is locked in. That should be a Lucas champion. I think we're going to see Mystic's Jinx.
Wait till he locks it in
before
we talk about Mystic's Jinx. Because I know you and I both have like really strong feelings on this one, especially against Name. It's so perfect.
It is. It would be perfect here, but I like it with the Castan. I like what they put together. World Elite, a strong draft here in game number 1, and it is going to be the Jinx.
Okay, so the thing that I wanted to point out about Mystic's Jinx, everyone talks about Death's Jinx, Name's Jinx, things like that. Mystic is 10-2 on Jinx, and the majority of his record of Jinx, if not the entirety of it, is from his time in China. And obviously this is with third-party tournaments included, like Demacia Cup, things like that. But he's an absurdly good Jinx player. Yeah,
very aggressive, loves to flash in and get resets with rockets. Pretty good at critting there as well, which is a very important staple of any Jinx player. But Mystics look great. He loves to take over lanes early as well at level 2. Nami does know the champion very well, but they're going to have to be relatively careful here because it is the, I'd say, soft counter matchup here as well in that 2v2 if they take the Jinx there. But just in general, Mystic's Jinx as deadly as King. I got to round up their lineup. Insec will take it nice and slow this time. It is going to be Hecarim.
Yeah, so it's pretty much a full-on murder train composition, as I like to call it, coming out from King here. You've got the Hecarim speed, you've got the Sivir speed, and then you just have that massive AoE damage threat potential from Corrin. We'll see which way he decides to itemize with his Victor. They've been getting pretty creative. On the other side for WE, though, you still have long-range initiation potential with a Lucas Sion, and he is possibly one of the best Sion players on threading that ultimate. It's actually really fun to watch. But you have great frontline damage and protection for Jinx as well. The fact that you do have like a big tanky frontline in Sion as well as Rek'Sai.
Yeah, they've got great setup here. We go through the matchups. We saw the Sion versus the Hecarim. We'll have Spirit on Rek'Sai versus Huey's Echo. Something very different. I believe his first play in the LPL on that champion. But she has gone back to Castan, and Corrin got himself Victor.
Speaking of Shie's Castan, and again, if all of that peel and protection is being used for this immobile Jinx, it's really nice to have a self-sufficient mid laner like Castan who can jump in, jump out, and he doesn't need Sion and Rek'Sai to really pay attention to him. He can do his own thing.
Yeah, I like this AoE synergy there as well, helping targets get low, AoEing them down for Jinx to set up the rocket. Of course, there's a last matchup, Kona versus Zero with the Nautilus, but having that Morgana there for the counter pick, like you mentioned.
Yeah, and of course, it's just the fact of the matter that the depth charge, it's one of the few skills that can be stopped, or excuse me, Black Shield is one of the few skills that can stop the Nautilus depth charge. On top of that, you have the Spell Shield from Sivir. There should never be a lockdown moment for Nami in that bot lane.
No, not at all, but we'll see how things check out. So we are going to get onto the Rift for game number 1. And we do start things off with a pause.
With a pause?
I'm sorry, we're not going to get in the game. I lied to you. I did not mean to do that. Oh!
Wait.
Salvation is here. We are unpausing. Hello. Welcome back. As we said, though, strong drafts for both teams, I have to say. I don't know if I give it to either team, but World Elite, this is a very World Elite comp, I have to say.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. They like to run where multiple threats have power or damage threats across the board because their team fights have been a little bit chaotic, to say it nicely. And so if everyone just kind of has their own damage threat and their own protection, as opposed to, you know, the only other person is Mystic there who really relies on his team, and it's much easier for WE to get ahead in these team fights. It's win lane, win game for WE has kind of been there.
Yep. And for King, it feels relatively similar, but we are going to be onto the Rift now. The pause has unpaused, and we'll see what happens here in our first game between these two sides. Bottom of the ladder for both of them, but they certainly seem to be on the rise, or at least showing a lot of strength recently. So now taking and having a battle here between the two is going to be interesting. We expect it to be close, but no one really knows what to expect between World Elite or King.
You never really know which version of either team you're going to get. Even in Demacia Cup, WE looked much stronger than they had been showing in the LPL regular season, so even in outside tournaments, they're starting to ramp a little bit. It is a standard 5-point start from either of these teams. That said, Name, or not even just Name, but teams in general, is Spirit taking a lot of damage, actually.
That is so much damage from the level 1 Echo passive, but Spirit tries to get some vision, doesn't get it, I don't think, and instead just takes a beating from Huey. She's going to cancel the pack as well.
That's really unfortunate. What I was going to say, though, is that it's very common for Sivir players to kind of show themselves on suspect ward areas on the bottom side of the map and then quickly rotate to the top side, so it's almost like a fake. That said, WE, they're reading this perfectly as Mystic rotates top.
Yep, so we are going to have 2v2s in the top lane. King not going to start their Krugs by the looks of things, but World Elite not going to start the Gromp either, so we'll start it all fair and square at level 1. And for me, honestly, I look at these junglers. Spirit, of course, fantastic on the likes of Rek'Sai, but Huey, he's not showed up on any champion other than Rek'Sai. I think he's a very new one in Echo.
No, I completely agree. And Echo's really place in the jungle is still being experimented a lot. In China specifically, Echo is used as a disruption tool. They build him tankier when he's in the jungle. And effectively, he runs ahead of his team. He locks them into choke points with his parallel conversions, or he uses his ultimate to absorb cooldowns and buys his team enough time where they can catch up and kind of make use of him stalling out the enemy.
You can see Aluka, though, is starting on the Raptor camps, killed himself, and will go back to base after hitting level 2. And then should be able to put down to the bottom side as Mystic. Damage onto 0 is very nice at level 1 with the rockets. But Nami going to try and turn in and trade as well.
Yeah, has the minion wave behind him, so he's able to just drop free autos. And with Sivir's W, if you time it correctly, it's almost like an auto reset. Yeah, one of the few in the game for ADs, but Conan getting aggressive with the Riptide, threatening with the staggering blow passive there as well. Level 2 race going to be important. Both of these dual lanes love to all-in people. Yeah, I don't think that there's going to be a lot of potential to do it. Mystic has, like you said, he's already level 2, and he's got so much control with the Jinx AoE rocket. Oh, that was close.
Don't think they're going to do it. Immediately tries to Q Nami. I mean, if either team can get it, they'll look for it, but Nami and Zero are going to play safe enough here to not get whammed over by the level 2, and you can see they both hit it, as well as Spirit visiting mid lane. Means Korn might have a few problems. Shea going to come in, but good movement there by Korn. Actually popped his ghost, but keeps himself safe.
Yeah, really nice angling from Korn right there to use his Ghost to reposition himself to make sure that he can get Spirit in front of him instead of any threat of the Tunnel W knockup.
Good bind there as well by Zero in the top lane. Gives Conan and Mystic a couple trades back and forth. Spell Shield, though, used. Not what you want to see in this lane.
Jinx is just so oppressive to lane against with her rockets because it gives, I believe, level 1 45 increased range. And it's impossible because the top lane, or excuse me, the 2v2 lane, it's actually split down the middle, and so which side you stand on if you think about two mini-independent lanes. But because her range is so oppressive and long, it's effectively like a Caitlyn, it doesn't matter which side of the lane Jinx stands on, either Morgana or Sivir's side, she's going to hit you anyway because she can hit you across creeps as well as push while she does it. Yeah,
and we can see that's pretty much what's been happening in the top lane so far. It's Huey did take away the Crocs, got low in the jungle, but got both his buffs. I will now go back and pick up his Trailblazers, so he's pretty good to go. But Echo, we've seen some creative ganks, but he's not an overly aggressive or pressure-oriented jungler, I feel like.
Yeah, he typically has to farm himself up until he gets his defensive stats, and then again, he makes use of those big choke points and running in, tanking everything up, and then resetting all of that damage with his ultimate. Whereas Rek'Sai, Spirit, of course, as commanding in the jungle as just he is as a player, but Rek'Sai has so many unique gank angles to take because of her tunnel system.
Yeah, really does here. And Spirit's one of the more creative and stronger junglers when it comes to ganking. You can see he's been looking around mid a couple times here, but just going to check to see if he can see a camp. Does not spot it. Instead, tunnels his way into the back of Baron, and it's time to go home as Huey's now looking in the mid lane.
Really just trying to figure out where Huey was. By telling the Raptor cap was done, he could figure out which side Echo was going to be on.
That's a good W, though, actually, by Huey. But again, like you said, Shea knows he's supposed to be on the Spirit side of the map, so goes to the left and manages to avoid the gank.
Exactly, playing towards the strong side of his map.
Yeah, nice stuff there. As Mystic still getting some CS here, but Nami actually getting ahead, starting to push the wave out. Means that we might be seeing a tip of the lane in the 2v2.
Really, it just takes Sivir enough points into her Boomerang and her Ricochet before she can just have complete control of the wave. Yeah, Mystic will be fine, and they should just be trading farm back and forth, but I talk about what side of the lane that you stand on with 80 carries. Against Sivir, I mean, effectively, you're not standing against anyone. You're just farming creeps. Yeah,
just hit the creeps as fast as you can and have that all be happy. As Insect in the bottom side, actually falling behind Aluka in CS, but went back for a quick skirmish with Saber, so does have that smite. Insect has been able to take a couple camps and use that to keep his farm relatively healthy, but losing 1v1 to Aluka right now, at least as far as raw CS goes.
Of course, it's very easy for Sion, much easier in the early levels with his, what is it, Devastating Charge? Yeah. Devastating Aurora?
One of those.
Devastating Charge is Hecarim. This is going to be, because they both have devastating abilities and they're in the same lane together.
That's not good.
Huey?
Yeah, stepping into the top lane now is Echo looking for a gank. That W needs to find a good target. Mystic, if he stands in the wrong spot, though, might eat a binding, and Conan's like, yep, getting out of here.
He's walking around the corner and he's warding.
Nice ward there. Spots them off. We'll sweep it out so they'll be able to deny some vision, but World Elite not falling for that one.
I believe that they were setting up a trap for Spirit, actually, as opposed to waiting for Mystic to overextend. I mean, obviously, that could have been an opportunity for them, but they really want to catch the Spirit. Since he sees so many resources top, goes bottom.
Yep, coming bot now. Insect forced to ultimate away. Aluka uses his as well, but gank not there for World Elite. Spirit, though, good amount of pressure. Basically just gets Hecarim's ult for nothing.
Yeah. I mean, that's a win-win for WE. Likewise, he's got complete control over this side of the map since Insec is pushed under his tower right now. So should see if Spirit's going to invade. Yep, there he goes.
Yep, right in there towards the Grump. Dragon potentially open as well, but a little early perhaps. The Spirit actually going for the Chillings might hit, makes sense, but wants just a bit more pressure from his ganks.
He is going to run into Echo here as Huey's face checking in.
Nami is still fighting on the top side, but Huey's found him now as well. We saw how much damage a passive did at level 1 just in their early exchange, and Colin's rotating in as well. Spirit might have to be a little bit careful here, but he is able to get out of the way.
And that was almost really scary just because Cassidy wasn't available, but now on the top side.
Good spell shield by Nami, but gets locked up by the Chomper. Zero taking a little too much damage. Nami's forced to flash away. Zero now. The next target, Mystic. Oh, he can smell a double kill so bad. But it's a little too dangerous.
Just unfortunate that Conan was locked up by the Dark Binding, that he wasn't able to juggle any tower aggro, forcing Mystic to back up. But great use of the rocket launcher from Jinx there. Yeah,
and all of a sudden, that lane where Nami was maybe 10 CS ahead is going to tip to even, and maybe worse if Nami or Zero find themselves dead here. They're getting pushed in now as well. Aluka in the bottom lane, happily farming, and even Shia started to pick up in mid.
And obviously, it's always punishing if you have a Victor ultimate.
Yeah, Korn just using his ulti there. Shia's like, all right, I guess I'll just dive in here. Korn uses it again. The deja vu they're coming through as he's broken the Matrix, but
I feel like I've seen this before.
Yeah, we have. I mean, Korn, I guess, not wanting to die, because that didn't really clear the way. And Shia's like, I guess I'm going back in. Korn's forced to flash. Big mistake from Victor.
Korn, please respond.
Yeah, I don't know.
He just wanted to go back. I mean, obviously there'd be no point because he didn't have any kill potential there, so he was just dropping his Chaos Storm because why not drop it? You're eating up a large portion of that cooldown while you're walking back to base, but made a big mistake as Cassidy just rift walked past it and punched him in the face.
Yeah, you can see Shia able to get on top of Victor. We've talked a lot about Victor where he likes when people run at him, but not when it's not on his terms. Like, if you can trap people in Gravity Field, set up Death Rays and Chaos Storms, you're great, but when you can't position those big zones of control, things just go from bad to worse as Victor. And
that's what's so nice about Cassidy is if you think that Victor's big primary defensive tool is going to be his gravitational field, and even though he's low mobility, placing it on himself, Cassidy can easily rift walk out of that, but... Yeah. Sorry, I thought Spirit was setting something up sneaky.
Not yet. Spirit not being too sneaky this game, just farming up his Cinder, with the Cinderhawk coming up fairly soon. Nami with the BF sword though pops back down to the bottom lane to start to push that out, so both teams recognizing the importance of Dragon coming up, and Spirit maybe stealing this away, goes in, takes it. See ya, Huey.
Casually strolls out. So that's what he was doing. He was setting up a deep ward so he can make a red steal. And Spirit spent a lot of time kind of poking his head and making sure that he has the correct timers for those buffs and backing appropriately. And this is what we're really just talking about with Spirit's jungle presence. Oppressive, clinical, textbook.
Yeah, really good stuff there. And Huey, to his credit, has been farming up quite nicely, but not really had an impact just yet on any of these lanes. Korn, in the meantime, going to start pushing things down. Has upgraded the Hex score, I believe, once here in this game, but needs to get a bit more going. But Cassidy gets his blue buff, actually. Spirit just donated that one over. And, of course, building in towards that Rotivator. Should have that done in a few minutes.
And the really nice thing about the upgraded Hex core and the first initial back for Victor is it's just so cost-efficient an item, especially when it times really nicely with level 9. So it gives you bonus AP dependent on your level. I believe the first one is 4.
Yep.
Although, hold on.
Yeah, actually, W being set up. You can see them both trying to set up all of those zones. They're literally covering the lane in things you don't want to walk through, but a teleport down now. It's all Aluka wants to find his way in. Huey's trying to get Shie off his case and does protect him. Aluka a bit early on the teleport there.
Yeah, a bit of a fumble there. We'll see if they translate this into immediate dragon control since they have Aluka on that side of the map. That said, this is King's chance to decide how they want to respond.
That was a great Black Shield from Zero, and Nami trying to threaten Conan. Insect does have his ultimate and the teleport, and there's a nice juicy ward on top of it, so King might want to defend here. They're going on to Mystic though. Boomerang blades down, Binding is hit, ultimate in as well, and first blood goes to Morgana as Insect going to come down there as well, but the Dragon, no, not dead. They're actually going to fight instead. Zero going to be the target. Aluka diving in is going to get the kill. Shie though now diving in. He's getting a little too low as Huey's going to find himself in, and Con late to the party. Huey flash Q's forward looking for a slow. Death Ray everywhere. Chaos Storm on top. Damage is massive and takes one out. Shie might be the next. Huey's diving in. Chrono breaks out from under the Q, and now Corn's out caught under the turret. Gets knocked up by Spirit, but King are not done. A double kill for Victor. Make it a triple. Aluka going to die as well. And a massacre there. King win 4-1.
What a turn. WE not on the same page. Mystic gets caught out. They try to look for the collapse. And Victor, we talked about how strong he is on his initial back with how cost efficient his Hex core for the amount of damage it gives him. Wrecked that fight.
Yeah, just took over in damage. Didn't even have I don't think he had his ghost. He hasn't used it, and he did not have his flash, but walked down a little late, but just in time to complete that tower dive. And King, smart stuff to take out Mystic, and World Elite didn't even finish the Dragon. It's actually now up for grabs again.
I mean, you have to think about it this way. He's now upgraded his Hex Core for a second time, so he spent 2,000 gold into it, but it also gives him extra stats, not just the flat AP on top of it. It gives him mana, and then you get to do 2 evolution points in typically your Q and then your laser, although you can do the gravitational field if you want more CC. But it's like the damage of a needlessly large rod with extra stats on top of it.
Yeah, and that was one of the things about Victor, was that, well, I have this item slot that I can't ever, you know, make use of because it's because of the Hex Core, so they just made the Hex Core really cost efficient, and all of a sudden Victor's good again.
His early game's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it can be quite good as Name's spell shields a Prey Seeker. King actually brute forcing his Dragon, although they did reset it. Spirit, though, eats a binding. That's going to give Insect a smite on that Dragon. Aluka trying to find his way in. The Parallel Convergence down to block the retreat, and that might be enough time, although Xie diving in there. Death Ray as well. That damage is absolutely huge, and King think about turning it around. Name pops his ulti, runs back in. And the Boomerang Blade's good onto Kona. Will he flash in? He wants to, but he doesn't go too far in. Huey's just chasing. Aluka eats a binding next as well. And Huey's got his ulti. Chrono breaks out. Xie, though, waiting for the kill. Tries to get Huey and can't finish him off. And somehow, Dragon's gone, but nobody else is dead.
Although, here comes Aluka.
Yeah, diving back in. Xie might look for the re-engage there. Zero getting low, will fall down. Knock-up's good there. Huey getting low, does fall as well. And Mystic now going off, but only 2 kills.
Oh, great turnaround from WE. It looks so good for King initially because they used the choke point fantastic with the gravitational field, but excellent ultimate from Aluka. This is what we're talking about. His Scion is so good.
And Korn still poking in. Name, though, getting grabbed up. Forces Insect to use the ultimate, but it's not nearly enough. Korn throws down his ultimate, but he can't get a kill with it, and the World Elite are going to steal the blue as well.
Oh, King, they had such momentum, but way too greedy, and WE fantastic sieging into this. They get the blue buff and the fight. Yeah, it doesn't translate into any objective like a dragon or a tower, but it certainly swings the gold back in favor for them after disaster struck early game. Yeah,
the 4-1's now just turned into basically the same trade for World Elite, and that gold almost all square now as WE have about 700 gold up on King. The first Dragon, though, did go to King, and we'll reset a little bit here. But yeah, that momentum, not good for King to lose. They are a team that loves to get ahead and stay ahead.
Complete reset, effectively, of any sort of momentum and advantage that has been built up in the early game. So things should start to slow back down as everyone pieces back into their lanes. I'm curious if they're going to keep into an elongated lane phase just because both AD carries have leveled up or bought their level 2 boots as well as the flat AD items. And this is typically when LPL teams will start to rotate their AD carries around to open towers on the map.
Yeah, we'll have to see here. Both Sivir and Jinx excellent at that as well. So there's certainly options here, but no towers yet means that everyone's sort of sticking to their lanes for now. And Insect, he's getting stronger, but Aluka with the Glacial Shard and his Merc Treads doing the same. Everyone sort of in a bit of a power trough, trying to stack up a bit more of those items and get the first major item here.
And LPL teams are so good at figuring out when exactly they want to fight. If they're ever equal or ahead, that's when they really set up for the 5v5. But people always have this assumption or perception that the LPL teams, that all they do is fight, that they only want a 5v5, and they get compared a lot of times to Fnatic. Whereas Fnatic find their advantages in 5v5s just because they're superior at team fighting in the region right now. LPL teams, they're so good at trading and almost sacrificing large portions on their map if they're not strong enough to fight yet. But as soon as they are, or if it's equal, they're all go all the time.
Yeah, and we're going to wait maybe for the next fight point here. We saw King win the first one. World Elite, they're very patient to win the next fight, and we've reset a lot here. Gold's come into quite a number of people. Spirit actually just finished his Aegis is a big item. Xie started charging on the Rod of Aegis, got it about 2 minutes ago, I believe, and the Infinity Edges are on the way for the AD carries here as well. So people are only getting stronger, and we're just completing first major items.
They need to gank right now. So Name just used his Spell Shield to absorb the Zap, which means that there's like a 22-second window where he's susceptible to things like Death Charge. Of course, you do have the Black Shield, but that's why we started to see Xie roam. But good catch by King to kind of figure out what WE were thinking.
Yeah, Huey protecting that pink ward there as well. Although Spirit will move in to clear it out. Eats a time window, and Xie too threatening here. Even Zero's rotated in, but they can't protect that ward. And Korn right now feels like he's still finding his speed. He's wanted to be aggressive, but Spirit's usually beating him to the punch.
Aluka in this top lane, creating a sizable CS gap between Insec in him, 20 CS.
Yeah, I mean, and Hecarim does need to keep getting farm as well. So Insec, we've seen this a bit from him. He either really goes off in a lane and just takes over, usually on a wacky champion like Yasuo, or he just kind of falls a little bit behind. Feels like he's sort of adjusting back to top lane.
He doesn't have the greatest Hecarim record at all either, both in the top lane and in the jungle. Of course, he's a champion that he's played multiple times because he was previously a jungler, but hasn't quite looked as comfortable as necessary on that champ.
No. We'll see, though. Insect's certainly been a welcome addition back to the team. If for nothing else, then I believe his shot calling as Name pops his ulti in the bottom side. Zero popped his as well. They really want Mystic dead, but the teleport's already in. Huey's coming down as well. Aluka's diving in. Mystic actually gets a snipe onto Zero, and Kona's now going to lock up Huey. They need to get a kill, but all the squishy targets are gone. Insect's here, but he's already ulted. Mystic is still alive. She is down here as well. Insect's going to die. Mystic gets that kill. Spirit now looking for Name, just misses, but that went horribly wrong for King.
Tried to flash reset his position for the Prey Seeker right there, but it will mean the tower. WE, fantastic collapse on the bottom side.
And for once, Aluka, that teleport in the mid lane looked a little silly before, but that one in the bottom looked great. And that tower's going to go down. Dragon will be back up in 55 seconds. And that Infinity Edge is now completed for Mystic. Waterley, a nice bit of momentum now back for them.
It's a huge item power spike, but more importantly, their map control on the bottom side, especially because Dragon's about to be in play in 40 seconds, is massive. Having that bottom tier tower, obviously if there's no tower to stop the creep wave gets to go down farther that lane. And with it, it takes passive vision and just passive map control.
Yep, and you can see Name is now going to come back, trim those waves back, but does not have his IE just yet here. King, not really equipped to fight World Elite right now, and the gold lead's starting to stack up just a tad here as WE find themselves about 2,500 gold ahead. Frozen Heart completed for Aluka, and the Locket of the Iron Solari done for Spirit means that World Elite, if King do want to fight them, are more than happy to.
Exactly. I would be surprised if King looked to fight this Dragon in a true 5v5 as opposed to possibly setting up a pick or looking for a steal. That said, you can see WE already moving into the area, setting down vision.
Yeah, Zero and Name.
It's a sneaky situation to be in, especially because Xie is beneath them.
Yeah, and they don't have a tower to run back to, like you illustrated before. They do have some decent wards down. You can tell they're trying to protect the Dragon area, but it's a bit tricky right now. And Zero and Name, they have played, I'd say, quite aggressively this game.
I do want to talk about the rotation that WE made with their lanes, moving Jinx into that mid lane, because again, it's about rotating your AD carry around, taking the free towers, and with that, instead of keeping the mid laner there, they send Xie to the bottom lane or to a free lane to just soak up as much golden experience as possible.
It's like going to get knocked up there. Aluka, though, is the target, but not enough CC to stop this Scion. Does use his ulti, but that's about it. There's 3 members of King gank the top lane, and Spirit just says thanks for the Dragon.
Yep, pretty much overuse the resources to one side of the map, and they lose the bottom tier objective. But we already knew that King weren't going to try to contest for this one. They don't have the itemization for it.
Pretty smart then to try and gank the top lane, but I do like Xie getting farm in that bottom side. We see this a lot with teams that play well around their AD carry in mid, is that you get to this point, you got a lot of flat AP. It's pretty easy for you to clear with waves safely and a lot of common mid lane champions, and you said it already, Mystic wants to take towers.
So again, what they're doing here is you're forcing Corn to stay in this mid lane, which is to be expected. We already talked about kind of the wave clear options that both WE and King will have. And then on the bottom side, it's such great efficiency of resources available on the map by sending your mid laner there, so your AD carry and mid laner are never in the same lane at the same time, especially when you want to elongate these lane phases and stack up more farm for late game.
You can see Aluka also still finding fun because he's got his 1v1 up against Insect. That does mean Hecarim's able to find some farm. He's on his way to a Frozen Heart with the Cinderhawk completed already. But again, World Elite using the map well so far. They do still have a slim gold lead. They've got their first Dragon. But the game, very patient between Dragons, to be perfectly honest. No team's really forcing anything after the first few bloodbaths of team fights.
And I feel like this is actually more beneficial to WE. Not that King don't have great late game threats in Victor. Sivir is going to be okay, but just Jinx. Jinx, Kassadin, that's all late game all the time.
Yeah.
So they're perfectly fine to stall this out.
And that is World Elite, honestly. They've shown a lot of strong team fighting, sort of on the back of Aluka and Spirit's playmaking. And Xie and Mystic, they've shown they can play champions like Kassadin and Jinx. All they really want to do is get to a fight where they feel comfortable team fighting.
So Dragon down for WE, 6-minute window opportunity to play to the top side, and immediately we started to see WE shifting their resources toward that top side since it is the last standing outer tower. I wouldn't be surprised to see them start to set up for a dive as soon as Mystic clears this bottom wave.
Good smart to keep Hecarim down there as well, as Mystic is in the bottom side after taking out the mid turret, leaving the advantage there. 2-1 up for World Elite. And you can see again, the scaling still coming through. King are getting some items down now as well. We talked about Hecarim, he's getting tankier. Giant spell for Huey's not bad, so going very tanky, very common jungle echo build we see in the LPL. And even Name's got his average blade looking for that static shift, but Mystic's going to be looking for a Phantom Dancer, I think. Yeah, does actually complete it. Wow, that's a lot of gold.
I'm not a big fan of Phantom Dancer on Jinx, just because I think her Get Excited passive gives you so much more damage out of static Shiv proc, so especially if you're orb walking in between it. But, you know, I can definitely see if he's being used as just pushing down towers. He already has the built-in wave clear on the AoE of his rocket.
Yeah, it also, I guess, arguably makes you slightly stronger before your passive triggers, so you reliably trigger it more. It's an interesting balance there, but I think Static Shiv's got cool interactions with Jinx, but I agree.
Yeah, I definitely think it's very much a playstyle preference.
Yeah, and certainly Mystics had a lot of preference for Phantom Dancer in general. He is a late game carry player by the looks of things, although, again, kind of like Nami, very aggressive. They're actually surprisingly similar AD carry players. It's just that Nami has opted much more into Sivir recently, and Mystics found so much more recent success, and even late success in Spring on Jinx.
Yep. And that's part of the beauty of seeing Mystic play Jinx against Name of all people. But here we go. Here's the dive that I was talking about. A little bit surprised that it took him this long to orchestrate, but this is the next easiest objective for WE to obtain on the map since Dragon is down. And again, they have that window of opportunity where they can play to the top side because they don't sacrifice anything.
Yeah, you still see Xie as well. He's just hanging out the bottom side, not leaving at all. King, their response is to try and get the mid lane turret. They actually find Spirit. They're going to throw everything on top of it. The tower's dead, but Spirit locked up forever by all of that CC. And King will get the mid lane turret.
They have to be very careful because here comes a flank. They do have the Sivir ultimate to reposition themselves.
So Insect here as well. Luca's going to eat the next binding there. Huey
Teleport.
diving in. Insect's going to come down now as well. Mystic, he's going to be the target. Zero's going to speed in, look for a bind. They're going to find a Luca again. They're just going to use all of their CC, but Conan's around the back. Xie's rotated in as well. Good chrono break to dodge the first bit of damage, but it's not quite enough. Aluka taking so long to die, and now the passive going to proc, and Mystic is going to go absolutely insane. Xie going to chase everybody down. Insect's dead. Name's going to be the last one left standing, and he barely lives.
Hey guys, well we're here.
Baron.
Oh my god, what a turn from WE. And I mean, effectively it was that Mystic and Xie went untouched. So many resources and so much damage was put into Aluka, and for what? For nothing.
Yeah, I'm not sure about trying to kill the Super Tank in Sion, but Aluka somehow baited them into doing it, and Worldly, as a result, they get themselves a teamfight win and a Baron.
Really unfortunate from King, and frankly sloppily played. The fact that he just immediately then led them to the Baron.
Yeah, almost like he had it all planned out. Nami will clear out a couple waves here, but 6,000 gold ahead now for Worldly, and Dragon back up in a minute 15. We are wondering what are Worldly going to do when the Dragon buffs down. They did a whole lot of work, apparently.
Excellent counterplay, or I'm going to call it counterplay from W. I don't think they've been too proactive this game, but their reactionary team fights and collapse have been flawless. And when you look at their composition, it makes sense. They have so much mobility, other than Mystic's Jinx. And yeah, she still has mobility when she gets her Get Excited passive, but particularly from Xie, Aluka, and Spirit.
Yeah, and we saw that, honestly, in those last few fights. King did a great job blocking down Spirit, honestly, forever between all of their CC that they had. But chasing another kill looked good with the Sivir ulti, but they just couldn't find Mystic. Aluka was the only target they found. And as we saw, Aluka, who did not have the items that he has right now, but he was pretty much impossible to kill. He's ascended to another level now with the Spirit Visage also completed.
He's beyond God tier now.
Yes.
We're at a higher level.
I mean, look, we've already seen they can't kill him before. It's not going to get any easier. This is the thing with Super Tanks. If they start snowballing, and it's a weird thing to think about, but
their resistances get built up way too fast that the damage is just not on clock for the AD carry.
No, and that is the tank snowball. It's like, well, you can't kill me, so have fun. And then you start getting more kills, and it's like, still can't kill you. In fact, I can't. I think I'm healing you now that I'm attacking you. Like, that's the problem with things like Sion, and why Lucas found so much success on Super Tanks.
So I was looking at Xie here, trying to set up.
He wanted something, but a little tricky. Does have his zones now, though. Mystic instead going to steal away a Dragon for himself, and that Rotovator is stacked up. He's also getting stronger. I like the cooldown boots here as well. World Elite just have all the tools they need to win this mid-game.
They're entirely in control of this game. Effectively, King just need to stall this out and wait for picks. They do have enough tools on their composition as far as to wave clear passively. They will have to give up if WE look for a dive, which they have a ton of potential with how fed Aluka is.
He also wants to be careful. Mystic's in the bottom side. with Conan there, but Backyard bringing enough people down, parallel convergence and the time winder plus all of the wave clear from Siva will be enough to stop that push at least. But again, Wild Elite pushing on the top side, using Spirit to push in the mid as well, just trying to get as many Baron up creeps as they can into all these lanes.
Yep, applying their Baron buff throughout the entirety of the map and creating multiple pressure points. So I doubt that they'll be able to break the inhibitor line unless they catch King on a team fight for one of these towers, but they'll certainly be able to pick up some more global gold. A Baron this early, especially for how closed the map was when they initially got it, really only translates into a snowball versus a game-ending run.
Yeah, and we've seen EDG love to use their mid-game Barons aggressively and take out turrets. World Elite going to start on that trail and take out the first tower in the tier 2 row. So 4 turrets to 1 now. Insect still looking for farm, but King have a lot more to, a big kill to climb back up over if they're going to get anywhere in this game to try and contest World Elite in fights.
I mean, at this point, they're just trying to stop the bleeding. They need to get control over their own jungle again and really think about approaching these dragon fights. It's going to be a good probably 10 to 15 minute window out if King do want to try to come back from this.
So we'll have to see what King do. We're expecting some stalling right now. Baron buff has dropped off though from Mortal Elite as they'll go back and spend their gold that they got after those first few towers. King are getting again slightly stronger, but again, not a lot of completed items either. So we'll check in with Mortal Elite instead as far as their current itemization goes. Kassadin looking good, probably. Actually, no. I was going to say Athenes, but now he's got some other crazy item ready to go. He's got a bit of both. Blasting one and a Fiendish Codex.
He really just wants defensive CDR. Xie's positioning in these last couple of fights, he kind of comes around, he sits, he waits, and then he comes around and flanks from behind on kind of the back end of these team fights. It's been super effective just because, again, their front line in Aluka and Spirit is so tanky because they're so far ahead.
Yeah, even Nautilus as well. Righteous Glory done. Plenty of extra health with the Kindle Gem. And the Sightstone means that even Conan can be a reasonable tank. Maybe not Alistar level, but can do a decent job here on the Nautilus. And Mystic's at 3 items here now, a full item ahead of Nami, although he has been doing a good job keeping up both in CS and in gold. It's going to be tricky here because, like you said earlier, World Elite don't stop scaling from this point.
Yeah, and this is really where Jinx is going to start to take off when these 80 carries, especially the hyper-scaling ones, have their 3 big core items. But hold on, Xie, top lane.
Trying to lock down Xie. Name pops his ulti. Huey's here as well. He's going to keep going. Name's got some crits happening here, and Xie has to go back to the tower. They're not going to dive. They'll take the turret instead, and that teleport's getting cancelled.
Curious TP from Aluka right there. Obviously, it's just going to eat the cooldown. He burns through that.
Although Conan now being caught out, and that's an awkward time for pause there as King almost find themselves another pick by the looks of things. And Conan's forced flush over the barrel wall. That's a hairy situation to be in a pause. That
was actually really curious. WE, they actually sacrificed a lot of momentum and pressure that they had been building up because they are so far ahead with their snowball. What's the word I'm going to use? I don't want to say correct.
Optimal?
Optimal, that's the good one. The optimal play would have been to play for the outer top tier tower because, again, they took the objective, the dragon, on the bottom side of the map. They could successfully play to the top side without sacrificing anything in return. Obviously, they already took the second tier mid tower, so no reason to put their resources there. So kind of surprised that it was a little bit mismatched and that people were out of position, especially for Xie to get that caught forward.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's Kassadin. You don't really expect to die with a Zhonya's.
I feel like he was walking up there. It's like, it's cool, guys. I got this. Yeah. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not.
Yeah, Nami just going in. I mean, that's one of Kassadin's weaknesses. As Conan's still alive as he popped back into the game. Spirit almost eats a binding, but everyone else might be able to get out. Xie still not dead, remember. Just got low in that last little exchange. And King fighting back there. Don't quite get themselves a kill by the looks of things, but at least stop some of the bleeding for now.
Yeah, it's still very much in this and showing that we're not afraid to fight, and they really have an understanding of when they're strong and how they want to set up these fights again. Even on these dragon fights before WE really swung power in their direction, they really understood about how to play with the choke points, with the gravitational field, with the parallel convergence and things like that. So King, again, they have tools, they have options to come back from this. They just can't afford to make any more mistakes.
No, they have to kill the key targets if they're in any sort of pitched battle, I guess, because Mystic and Xie will just fire away, either in melee range for the Kassadin by jumping in and out, or just from very far away with Mystic and his rocket. So King need to make sure they can stop more momentum from World Elite, but Spirit, being ever annoying as always, going to try and steal away the Grom. Does get it.
And I feel like this is why WE have been seeing kind of a rising in their recent success, is really Mystic's performance, especially on this Jinx pick. Again, 10-2 on Jinx. If he wins this, it'll be 11-2. And just the fact that Spirit doesn't have to take on all of the responsibility and all of WE's burdens when Mystic is on a champion like Jinx.
And look, for me, it's more about Mystic's just general strength on a champion like Jinx and his positioning than like any sort of insane aggression. Although he is an aggressive player in lane as well with the champion. Oh, good catch. Onto Korn there, forcing the flush. Huey's going to dive right in there to try and disrupt the carry. Throws out the Qs. Insect's diving into the backline, but Mystic, he's still alive. He's low, but not out now. Shie going to bump himself over the wall. This is a really weird fight as Huey going to get dove on, but he's quite tanky as Shie is forced to Zhonya's. Huey going to run back in. Luca's getting CC'd up, and they're just poking back and forth. But the damage, absolutely massive as Name's forced to flat. Huey Chrono breaks away, but he's still, no, not going to die. Insect blocks the shots. There's Zero now diving into the side. Korn's got the ulti down. Morgana's gotten the kill onto Mystic. Spirit goes down, and King somehow are going to win this team fight, but it's only 2 for 2.
Oh my god, the team fight that never ends. That was absurd.
I think we can kind of see the power of Victor Echo, though, because they fought on like 2 or 3 different places and navigated wonderfully around that.
Exactly. The reset from Huey was great. The fact that Insect actually blocked the dredge line that would have killed him. Insect's initial engage, Zero's re-engage, Mystic's positioning for so long. There were so many different facets to that team fight. That went for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, that was a long extended team fight. Not something unusual here in the LPL, but that was one of the crazier ones. And this is the thing about the versatility of the Echo Victor combination is that both champions just do so many things. So if you use those tools correctly, you can do some pretty creative stuff.
So much CC, so much damage. The fact that a lot of it is front-loaded into AoE. The only issue that I have right now is that, again, King are so far behind. They effectively came out even on that team fight, despite the fact that they're behind in gold. And the primary issue is that Name doesn't have the damage to burn through those super tanks like Aluka.
No, Aluka is ridiculously massive right now. 250 CS, still leading Insect there in the matchup as far as 1v1 goes. And he's got a chain vest. Okay, not bad. Merc treads, sure. Good, you got your base guard items. Frozen Heart Sunfire came through Visage. And his W passive, just for a bit more extra health in there somewhere.
It just kills me how inefficient Sunfire Cape is, though. I feel like you have to build it early from the Bomby Cinder, obviously, to help him clear out the creep waves and keep that wave push forward. Because if you get Sunfire third item, it's just not cost efficient for the stats you're getting.
That's sort of what he was doing here, so I can see why Luca liked it. Did have the Cinder early as well, but you can see 3,000-ish health and there's not a chance in the world of the team killing him. Aluka ultis, looks for Huey, doesn't quite get him as he phase dives out of the way, but Conan going to come through. Parallel Convergence is good. Might protect him for long enough. Shie is going to dive in there as well. Huey still has his ultimate. Depth Charge is going to be dodged by Chrono Break. Shie diving into the side, but Spirit's going in. Insect, can he find the line for a good ultimate? Shie gets blown up though by Con. Now Insect going to charge his way back into the fight for Mystic. Pops a QSS. He's still fighting and does not die, but Korn's killed Spirit as well. Another 2 for 2. But King is still fighting, and Aluka eats the binding but pops him off with a Q. Might still die. It'll take a long time. So they have to be careful, and they know they just can't overcommit here. They're still going back in. Mystic off into the side, almost dies to a binding, gets the kill onto Zero, though Aluka will finally die, but the passive actually might be enough. A good gravity field keeps him away, but Name has to keep kiting, and another crazy team fight.
These team fights are absurd. King are so good at playing around the terrain. I'm glad that you pointed out just the beauty of the Echo Victor and everything that he offers in terms of CC, again, the big AoE damage. But they use the Sivir ultimate to pull WE into these choke points and then just lay down all this CC. That said, on the other side, WE, Mystic is having the game of his life right now with just pitch-perfect positioning on Jinx.
Yeah, I mean, even Insect, who got on top of Jinx.
Just kiting him back?
Yeah, and just still couldn't kill him. I mean, Insect's gone for the Thorn there. He's very tanky, but is not going to be, might not even go for a Trinity Force at all this game, given the current trajectory of his build. So he will struggle to actually kill Mystic. But Mystic should not be able to do what he did to the Hecarim as easily as he made that look.
He was orb walking perfectly in between the Jinx Get Excited passive. I think he got 3 autos off, and that's just so difficult to do because it's so easy to cancel your attack animation. And then his weapon juggling is playing phenomenally right now.
Mystic's really good at Jinx. That was my opinion of him in spring and towards the playoffs, actually, for Mystic, was that his best champion was probably Jinx, and showing it here, his record certainly demonstrates that as well. 7-2-9 here in this game. 3 big damage items, like defensive item for the QSS and a BF sword on top of everything else. Mystic's massive right now.
The thing that I really like about Jinx as a champion, and she's recently, of course, been nerfed, and this was kind of a hit, obviously, the attack speed on her minigun and things like that, is that if you think about if you approach an objective and all the waves are set even, completely reset, your team wins the objective fight, whether it be Baron, Dragon, You then rotate to the mid lane. If you're any other AD carry, you'll take maybe a tower. Then that's just the wave being set. If you're Jinx, your entire base is gone. You're taking 3 towers.
Yeah, and we've seen that a lot. It's part of why she's so good late game, because once you start winning team fights, she's pretty good in late game team fights. You tend to win the game after the last
few.
few.
It's so punishing.
Yeah.
You have to have... It's hard because you have to have perfect wave management to counteract Jinx attack speed and how devastating she can be to those structures.
See, Aluka though eats a binding, but nice and tanky. Got a Thorn Mail now as well, just to make Name's life miserable. But he is working on the Name special, that Blade of the Ruined King 4th, because he knows he has some big people to kill in this front line.
Yeah, and likewise, I am glad that you called it the Name special, because yeah, it does itemize really well the fact that he has to go through that super tank line and that'll help him peel through Aluka and Spirit, but it's for his own protection as well. Name really likes Bork because he's a self-sufficient AD carry, helps him reposition.
Yeah, he's a big Bork guy. Again, the wave clear and just the zone control from King kept a lot of their towers quite healthy. We saw before, that tier 2 in the mid that they're just walking by, that's the only inner turret that World League managed to get this whole game. This turret score's been set at 4 for 3 for at least 15 minutes, it feels like.
And this is really just attributes to King team fighting so well, but here comes a flank.
Oh, Aluka running in. Name caught completely out of position. Spell Shield actually whiffs there, and now Aluka's going to chase him down. Insect, though, going to try and come in somewhere around the side. We're going to re-engage back in as Name's buying as much time as he can, and I think he might have just found himself alive. Fury, though, going to eat a depth charge. Phase dives away. We'll get to safety. Black Shield actually came a little late. His Spirit eats a binding. And it's just too much zone control for King.
Zero just saved Insect's life right there. That was saving Private Name. He was caught behind enemy lines.
He was. Actually had to use his ulti, but did manage to get out. Spirit now going to get tagged by Huey. Timeliner goes in. Slow's not bad. Bindings are good here to keep Waterlead out, but Waterlead have been trying desperately to get something other than what they've got so far. All they've got a team fight.
So well.
And still behind in gold. We talked about it before, about 5,000–6,000 gold behind. That lead stands here, though, for King. But Insect's starting to get really big, and King are scaling up, and they've shown they can fight against this composition.
The problem is they still have yet to kill Mystic and to get onto that backline, especially with threats like Hecarim. But here's a teleport.
Yeah, Aluka coming in. Parallel Convergence is down. The gravity field's there as well. But Aluka, another weird teleport, although Zero is a good catch here for World Elite. Out of position. They're going to try and chase down Aluka. Not enough damage with that blade not finished. Now Name going to get caught out of position. Rocket's good. Xie gets the kill there onto the Sivir. And World League going to happily dive the tower. Spirit gets a double knock-up. Chasing it onto Korn. Huey chrono breaks to buy some time, but will fall to Mystic. That's 4 members of King dead. Insect's going to make it 5. Not quite dead yet, though. But World Elite, they'll take it.
That was the mistake that WE were looking for. We said, yeah, King, they have the tools to keep in this, but they cannot fail again. And this is the power of Jinx. Yeah. Any other AD carry, it wouldn't have been this devastating, but this could possibly be the game.
Yeah, quite possibly here. They're going to push in and at least take the inhibitor, and they'll
so much respect.
Back off after that, yeah. I don't blame them. King have definitely pulled out a couple of teamfight miracles so far, and Dragon is back up nice and soon, but King have been fighting well for how far behind they are, but now 8,000 gold behind. Might not be much left in this game.
Unfortunately, they lost at the worst time with those picks, and if Spirit Void rushes back to that Baron, this is surely going to be the second Baron for free for WE.
And it's funny you mentioned Jinx taking on that base. Managed to break it. I think most AD carries in that spot with the Rose Will would have done that, but maybe wouldn't have gotten the Baron as well.
The speed that she does it, it's just so oppressive. Losing a late game team fight, it doesn't even matter where your waves are. Jinx is going to take your base. Her wave clear is absurd. Her pushing power is crazy. Structure breaking.
Yep.
Top tier.
All good stuff. As King trying to at least salvage themselves a Dragon out of this situation. They've fallen horrendously far behind in gold. Although Name now has his Bork. They'll get the Dragon. It's actually Korn that picks it up, but Zero pops his talisman. As King get out, they know they can't really do anything else other than that, and they were lucky to get their Dragon and their blue buff.
Quickly running in, and effectively all that does is it stalls out the win condition that WE had of getting that fifth Dragon early, so just kind of a miracle. That said, they will surely lose their tower here.
Yeah, gonna lose more structures. World Elite take this tier 2. Mystic gets excited, and Baron buff is on World Elite once again here, so this should be a much better siege, especially with the top side pushing in and King. I don't know what they've got left here. They showed good fights in the jungle chokes, but now they're back up against their own base.
You cannot give WE their comfort champions. Here's the engage.
Yeah, find Insect. Black Shield's down. Huey dives in. He's very tanky. Pops in there onto Mystic, trying to find him, but nobody can get into the back line. And a Seg will reset, and World Elite will be very happy with that.
Gonna just siege this one down, play with their pressure point at the top side of the map. There's really nothing King can do here.
Luke is tanking up as well. Maybe a mistake as Huey dives his way back in. He wants Mystic so bad, but he can't complete the kill. He chrono breaks out. Insect dives in there as well. Huey gets hooked up though. Shea pops in and uses his Zhonya's, and Mystic still alive. World Elite still alive, actually. Really fighting as they dive the backline. Korn will go down. Mystic gets excited, starts shooting Zero. Can't run into the turrets, but Aluka will zone them away as World Elite finish the game.
And King really have to be asking themselves, what do we change in our draft phase from Game 1 to Game 2? And the thing that I'm going to point out, Aluka on Sion, Spirit on Rek'Sai, Mystic on Jinx. There's comfort champions across the board. You cannot give WE this many power picks for their champion pool. Aluka has an incredibly limited pick champion pool. You need to limit this somehow, or you need to find some sort of advantage somewhere else on the map. And I feel like King actually lost this one in draft phase.
Yeah, quite possibly here in that game. They tried to make it work in a couple of great team fights, but did not make it easy on themselves given the draft they had. And World Elite